topical issue around rail capacity for Kildare commuters, and in particular the need to expand that and future-proof our rail services for Kildare citizens. The Kildare Route Project Minister aims to contribute to meeting future demand for rail transport by increasing the capacity and frequency of commuter trains on the route of the Cork-Dublin railway line. Phase 1 of the project has been completed from Heuston Station as far as Hazelhatch, and Phase 2 of the project is to upgrade the track to 4 lanes down as far as Kildare town. So we cover Sallins, Newbridge and Kildare town. And capacity is absolutely key here. We are experiencing at present during the road reconstruction and the widening of the M7, which is very welcome and will be very welcome when it's completed. It's absolute carnage on that road at present, with the volumes shoehorned into the 2 lanes, and as construction is ongoing, it just brings home to me that when we have our 3 lanes on the Naas bypass, there's going to be plenty of cars to fill that road anyway. We need to continue in the light of climate change, moving to a more sustainable transport model, and mindful of the fact that I have so many constituents, students who can't afford rental accommodation in Dublin, who travel back and forth every day, commuters, and their quality of life is really key. So for those residents in Newbridge, in Kildare, Monasterevin down to Port Arlington, the demand will continue to grow into the future, and we want to make sure that we have ease of access, real frequency of services, and then the cost of those services. And I'm going to raise in my supplementary the issue of the short hop zone and the cost there is on residents in Kildare, Newbridge residents compared to Sallins. The comparison in cost is pretty outrageous because of the short hop zone was only extended as far as Sallins, and that needs to be revisited, and I'll raise that in my supplementary question.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Collar. And I'd like to thank Deputies Heydon and Lawless for putting this very important question, which is not unfamiliar, as the deputies will be aware. As you will be aware, the NTA has statutory responsibility for the planning and delivery of transport infrastructure and services in the Greater Dublin area, including Kildare. The NTA's transport strategy for the Greater Dublin area, GDA, 2016-2035, provides the overarching framework for the planning and delivery of transport infrastructure and services in the GDA over the next 2 decades. While at a national level this year also saw the publication of the National Development Plan, as part of our government's project Ireland 2040, the NDP provides a national level framework for the delivery of transport infrastructure over the next 10 years. Both the NTA's statutory transport strategy and the NDP provide for the DART expansion programme as one of the key investment priorities in the coming years. Importantly, the NDP also commits exchequer funding to the project, and an indicative allocation of €2 billion is provided in the NDP. That is a significant investment by the taxpayer in our transport network. The proposed enhancements to the heavy rail system will create an integrated rail network which will deliver a very substantial increase in peak hour capacity on all commuter lines in the GDA, including the Kildare line. The electrification of the line to Hazelhatch, Selbridge and remaining infrastructure needed to complete the link of the Kildare commuter route to the city centre will be delivered as part of the DART expansion programme. In the meantime, the upgrade to the Phoenix Park Tunnel in 2016 has seen commuters on the Kildare line have the option of direct trains to Connolly, Tara Street, Pearse and Grand Canal dock stations. It is proposed to further improve Kildare line services through additional off-peak and weekend services through the tunnel next year. In addition, the NTA and Irish Rail continue to examine short, medium and longer-term options for meeting increased commuter services demand. With regard to the adequacy of existing rail services, the position is that the existing rail fleet is fully deployed at peak times. However, the NTA, in conjunction with Irish Rail, are examining options for additional train capacity. One option under consideration is the lease or purchase of second-hand rail fleet, and the NTA and Irish Rail will determine the viability of such an approach later this year. In the longer term, and as part of DART expansion, a comprehensive fleet purchase programme will take place, adding significantly to the rail fleet. A formal procurement notice seeking interested train manufacturers is expected to issue before year-end, and a formal contract for the new fleet is expected to be signed next year. I am confident that the improvement plans for the short, medium and long term will enhance services along this important commuter line.
Thank the Minister for the response. Minister, in relation to the Kildare route project, doubling the rail lines from 2 tracks to 4 through Newbridge and onto Kildare town on the Dublin to Cork line makes imminent sense, and planning for that accordingly and ensuring that that is a priority makes imminent sense as we try to plan for future demand down the line. Reopening the Phoenix Park Tunnel has seen considerable benefits to commuters on the Kildare suburban lines, and it's made a very significant financial benefit to Irish Rail as it becomes a very user-intensive route because of its location. But the cost involved for my constituents is considerable. And as I said earlier, the extension of the short hop zone to Sallins, while welcome for residents in that area, has caused considerable issues, because we now have a situation where Newbridge Station, which is only 7 minutes down the track from Sallins, the disparity in prices is astronomical. We have a situation where if you're travelling to Houston Station from Sallins, an adult single is $475, from Newbridge it's $1430. An adult monthly is $154 from Sallins, it's $264 from Newbridge. Minister, this disparity is wrong. You're spending money on extending a car park in Sallins that is full of Kildare South residents because of the fact that they're driving to that destination for the cheaper zones. The short hop zone needs to be extended to Newbridge Station.
In answer to Deputy Heydon, to start with, yes, I appreciate the disparity in prices to which you've referred, particularly between Newbridge and Sallins. I'm not, as happens so often in this chamber, responsible for setting the prices from one station to another, or to indeed to do anything directly to alter the prices by others. But I will certainly pass on what seems to be a very reasonable point that you made about them to the NTA, because I think that's fair enough. In answer to Deputy Lawless, overcrowding in commuter trains and commuter Dart and commuter Lewis is not something new, and it's something obviously which is regrettable, but it's not it is not something which we can overnight do an awful lot about. One of the sorry, Deputy Lawless, if I may finish, otherwise you're just going to use up my time.
Okay, Minister.
That's fine, fair enough. But we are looking, and we have been looking at this line and many other lines, and particularly on the issue of purchasing second-hand vehicles, as I think you probably know. A decision on the viability of the second-hand vehicle option approach is going to be made later this year, following market availability analysis, procurement options analysis. Work on developing tender documentation and train specifications for a bi-mode fleet of rail vehicles to operate as part of the extended DART system is progressing. The formal procurement notice seeking interested train manufacturers is expected to issue before year-end, as I think I've already said, and a formal contract for the new fleet is expected to be signed next year. The government is committed several billion to the development to be spending on transport and public transport for the benefit of commuters in the coming years, and the Kildare lines will be beneficiaries of that, along with many of the other lines in the Dublin commuter belt.